Welcome to Selling Seven Figures, Top Performers Tell All, hosted by Kevin Mullaney. Each month, we're diving deep to uncover the secrets of selling big, closing smart, and hitting your highest goals. One guest, one mission. Let's make more money. Ready? Let's go. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back with another episode of Top Sellers Tell All. Wow, way to butcher it right out of the gate. It's selling seven figures. Thank you. I appreciate that. We have got my guy, your guy, everyone's favorite guy, a first in the podcast in the 2 years we've been running this. We've never had a supplier on. So we've got our guy. Hey, you. Get into my Eric Carr in the house from Hip Promo. What do you say, big guy?
Hey, man, I appreciate you inviting me here today. A little Friday afternoon, a little drinking a Willie McGirt here.
All right,
Willie McGirt is Red Bull and vodka, if you don't know. That's
anyone. It can really go up from here after I just butchered that intro. So we're going to start where it all began. How I met Eric. Everyone knows Eric, it seems, in the industry, at least if you're doing good business and if you are good people, you know Big E. My intro was a special one. So we got to meet in a little town in Augusta, Georgia for the Masters Week. It was an event that I had been trying to be involved with since I got in the industry roughly 15 years ago. And we just had the best time in the world. So the nice thing about Augusta National is you can't have your phones. And Eric and I went with a group of 6 other distributors and a couple other suppliers like my guy, Pete Strobe Lights. Yep. And we just had an absolute experience. I'm going to kick it over to you, baby, and tell me about what it was like to do 2 days in Augusta together.
Well, I'll never forget just how in awe you were when we got there. That was great. But then there's just so many famous people, and there's so many people I'm just really good at picking people out. And literally I was like, oh, there's Sam Darnold and Josh Allen. And you were like, Sammy freaking Spirals, baby. Come on. And Josh Allen was like, we're like, yeah, we know you're the MVP, dude. Yeah, whatever. But it's Sam Darnold, man. Come on. Jets. So we hung out with them, and I remember you guys were going to trade visors or something. I don't know.
All true. It's all true.
And we had a great time. And then on 16, they were sitting, and they were like, "Hey, come join us." And I was like, "I got like 8 dudes, man. I can't come dump them and sit with you guys. I should have, but
absolutely should have. Exactly right." Little backstory: Sam Darnold. I'm a huge Jets fan. And we walked up, him and Josh Allen, a couple other buddies are just sitting there. We walked right up to him and basically pushed Josh Allen away so I could introduce my love.
Yeah, we know who you are, dude. You're the MVP. We got it, man. Cool.
We ran into Jerry Stackhouse, and then, yes, we almost cost Brian Harmon 3 strokes when
I thought he was going to break his putter.
Yep.
We're just chomping on peanuts. Like it's so quiet, and we're just like, oh.
You could hear a pin drop, and I think I ate a pistachio with the shell on when he had a 2-foot downhiller, and he looked back at me like, get this guy out of here. But they let us in. So it was the best, one of the best weekends of my life. And again, we've stayed connected ever since. So appreciate you jumping on the podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about everything, but we do break the ice in every single way. So Eric, how did you get into this crazy branded merchandise industry?
It's not what you know, it's who you know. My dad's best friend back in the 90s was president of RCC Koozie Group out of San Antonio, Texas. And that's how I got in. And I worked with them and worked for some other supplier companies. And I've been at HIT now, going to be 15 years.
Wow.
So
that's 15. Okay, impressive. And I don't know.
I started in 97.
This is a 1 of 1 here, folks. This is a HIT promotional products tie one of one. I know it's not your Georgia colors. It's for CJ. We went Gators.
Yeah,
We trumped it out on this one. But I'll see if I can get you one in your black and red that you love so much. But
that'd be cool.
we're going to really talk about something interesting here because you and I caught up. I think it was around February or March. We were doing a trivia night when you were in Richmond visiting with some distributors. And we really got to chop it up. You had a really, really young rep with you. I think she had just got out of school. She was a field hockey, stud.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, we've had a couple leaders on. We've had Trevor Hedgepath, Randy Gursky, Savannah's in leadership now. Walk me through the change for you. You were a producer and then you moved over to leadership now at HIT.
Yeah.
What's it like? What are the differences?
Well, I think when you get to a certain age, you kind of I wanted to be a teacher growing up. I wanted to be a coach. And I have all the respect in the world for those people because there's no dang money in it. And that's why I didn't get in it. So as I got older and we were having, hits, just the growth it's been so much over the past 15 years, hiring more people because you can only manage so many millions of dollars. And once you get 12, $15 million worth of business, we got to hire somebody else. So that's how we've just kind of grown organically. And then through that, I felt like, I was willing to stop riding the horse and help teach other kids and other people how to ride the horse and go out and be a successful salesperson.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, in my opinion, I think specifically right around the COVID times and the Masters experience, right? I feel like HIT's done a really good job of running to the roar. And what I mean by that is there were some times when things were really, really scary in this industry, obviously COVID, and you guys never stopped showing up, right? Your reps, Pete, Julie, whomever it was, Chuck in the Virginia market, they kept showing up, kept letting us know that we were involved, that nothing was going to stop us. We're going to keep rolling, being proactive with what everything was going to be going on as far as timelines, work-wise, sanitary concerns, et cetera, et cetera. But you always put a focus back on the customer. I feel like there's a lot of other folks that are kind of pulling back on budget and doing less relationship building, which, as you know, is key in this industry, right? Yeah. So when we did the karaoke or the trivia night the other night, you were talking about, with this younger rep, you're like, look, find a concert in your area that you're into or your customers into and invite them out. And then if they don't go, invite somebody else out, right? Like target your accounts. Talk to me about why you think that's important and what do you think you're establishing when you're taking those people outside of the office and into the experiences, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the top 50 suppliers in our industry, most of them sell what we sell. I mean, you can buy so much from so many different vendors. You have to separate yourself on a relationship basis. Just to kind of come in and show up and throw up and talk about, price and delivery time. That's great. But people buy from who they like, man. And you got to get to know them outside of the office. I tell our female reps, go get a pedicure. Take that top rep at so-and-so. Let's go get a pedicure. Something a little different than grabbing coffee or breakfast. Do something out of the norm. Let's go to a concert. Hey, I see in your office you've got this poster of Widespread Panic. I'm a huge Panic fan. Let's go to a show. That's where you get to separate yourself. And we teach that. Hey, know if they have pets. What's the pet's name? Know if they have kids. What's their kids' names? Where are their kids going to college? Where are they going to high school? And be involved. And when somebody's birthday, do something a little bit different rather than just send them an email. Have something show up at their house. It's just a way to separate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think I would say, and hopefully this is the case for all of your reps, like anytime y'all were coming into town, the doors were always open in our regard. That's not always the case. Sometimes I felt as a distributor, you know what I mean? Like someone was just checking a box, right? Like they were like, oh, I'm in Richmond. We should go see this company. And it wasn't to do anything other than to say, hey, drop donuts off and mark it as a
check. I did one of my 3 calls today. Check.
Yeah. But I
I'd
always
rather
felt
you
like,
go in and spend 3 hours in an office and work with every rep than go make, 3 1-hour calls. I'd rather you do 1 3-hour call, because that's where you're really going to create relationships, get to know your customer, get to know exactly who they're working with, and get to know them and how they work.
So and it's funny, I remember talking to CJ's mom about the Augusta trip, and he would always kind of go over the P&L, and he would always bring it back and be like, see, Mom, this came from the Augusta trip. This came from the Masters trip. This came from the Masters trip. And it is one of those things, when I looked around the room, at that point, I think we had like 15 other distributor reps, and I got to know a lot of those guys. And it was an amazing experience, like the Chris Ferreters of the world. And we really shared kind of a special bond from that trip. Nate O'Neill and I got really tight there as well.
Yeah.
And you would typically not see a case study where you can bring quote unquote competitors in the same room.
But not only competitors, you're bringing the cream of the crop. You're bringing the top 5% of distributors all in one room, and all getting along and talking about what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and becoming friends and pals.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And again, I'll never forget, I was leaving, I was in the airport, and I was thinking, anytime that I'm going to write an order, anytime that I'm trying to present something, these guys, at least for the rest of the year, if not for life, right? That was a life experience. They have to be involved in the decision-making process. And the nice part about working with you all, and again, this isn't going to be a big hit promo, show here. It's really about you and kind of how you're working. But it was like, because you guys are so vast and so broad with your offerings, it is kind of nice because you really were almost involved with kind of 95% of the quoting for the rest of the year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, we're like Target, man. We got stuff under $1, and we've got stuff, almost $1,000. We get Toomey bags. So it's really such an easier way for you guys to work. You're not searching high and low. It's like, I know my boy Eric, let's work with him, or I know my boy Chuck or Kurt or anybody that works at Hit. They got your back, and they want to make it easier on you to do business.
Let me ask you this. I always found this to be interesting, and I'll never forget, I was in North Carolina one time, and Megan Payeka was doing like a lunch and learn. She had catalogs out for everyone. She's handing out samples. And she just said, to start, she said, just to be clear, new catalog, new products. I have no clue what page number we're going to be on, and I might miss some product numbers, right? And this isn't a knock. This is, in my opinion, hopefully flattery, because how could she possibly keep up?
It was a phone book, man.
Right?
I mean, they were 5 catalogs was 35 pounds.
So how have you guys kind of changed your selling strategy to be able to educate your clients, specifically the older demographic that has always done things the way they've always done it, right? They want to be sold that way as well. How have you adjusted the salesman leadership over these past 15 years or so to say, hey guys, look, it's okay to not know everything, the complete makeup of this product. Just focus on what they're asking when it comes down to what they need from us, what the clients are looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Walk me through some of that.
I mean, it used to be in the days, you would just bring everything in, everything new. But now we bring in stuff every month, every couple of weeks. We're getting new stuff. I mean, it is really hard, especially as a new rep, to keep track of all the new stuff that we're bringing in, man. I mean, it's even for me. I mean, I used to be able to rattle off item number, price, like nobody's business. But now, because we're bringing stuff in all the time, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that item number, or didn't know we had that. So you have to kind of take it upon yourself to really sit down and get to learn the new products, because we're getting them all the time now. It used to be once a year.
Yeah.
And then maybe in July, you had a mid-year kind of launch. So it's different. The rep has to take it upon themselves to be like, hey, do I want to be great? Do I want to make sure I go into a meeting and know my stuff and know what I'm talking about? That's up to them. I can't teach them that. They have to want to do that.
Yeah. And you can't teach, you're right, you can't teach the effort. We're going to jump into that specifically with the way you've been hiring lately. So it seemed like you kind of put together this all-star squad, let's just call it 4 years ago, and you really kind of had a lot of experience rep. But as you mentioned, HIT's growth has been crazy, crazy big.
Yeah.
2-3 years, again, you've nailed it, but like really past the pandemic, you guys have been doubling down on inventory, hopefully having another great year this year. But you brought in a lot of new faces. And I got out of the industry 2 years ago, but I'm still an Instagram follower. And every time I'm seeing you do the whoa before your leadership meetings, right?
Yeah.
You're giving them that Ric Flair vibe. Everyone seems like they just got their degree, like just met the dean of students, got the handshake, took the picture, went out to the local pub. Mom and dad took all the pictures. They're thrilled. Kathy or Jenny just graduated, and now they're working for Hit Promo. So you're not only teaching them how to be a professional, you're teaching them how to be an adult a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then you're teaching them this crazy industry with 5,000 SKUs and probably 50 customers. Yeah. So if you don't mind breaking it down, we were a big fan of my old company of hiring people outside of the industry so they didn't have any bad habits that they were bringing in. Talk to me about this new class of teaching millennials, teaching, I don't even know how to describe
Z,
it. It's overwhelming. Gen Z, geez, I'm a millennial.
So we were using a recruiter, and we wanted to go after ex-college athletes. So we've got soccer player, golf player, football player, lacrosse, field hockey. Because one, we thought, hey, they're going to be competitive. Okay. You can't play college sports and not be competitive. You got to be driven. You got to be able to get up early, work late, and you got to be coachable. I think the biggest, I would say, negative with the college athlete is they've been told for so many years now where to be and when to be. That graduated, they got to kind of start thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas the average college student wasn't always told where to be. They had to figure it out. They had to figure out how to organize their time. Okay. And that's where the probably the biggest learning curve is for them right now. But their attitudes are always great. And once again, I can come down on them pretty hard if I need to, because they've been coached and they've been coached hard at the college level. There's no going crying to mama kind of thing. It makes them want to work harder. Yeah.
It's really impressive. And you nailed it on the college athlete. One of our top sales leaders at my new company, he is a Cornell grad from on the swim team. I mean, so you're talking about a guy that is extremely smart and takes care of his body. It's not just what he does in the pool, right? It's how he's taking care of his body outside the pool. And he's probably jumping in and swimming at 5 a.m. I remember Michael Phelps, when people were like, why would you ever walk away? He's like, do you know how hard it is to jump into a pool first thing in the morning and get, 2 hours of laps in? Like, it's just, you can't teach it, right? But it is interesting. When you and I cut up briefly, it's such a great point, right? Like, you look at these, Georgia athletes, they come in as like a quarterback in high school and they're turning him into an offensive lineman. That doesn't happen overnight, right? They're on a strict weight plan. They're on a strict diet. And you're absolutely right. It's like every moment has been accounted for their 2 to 4 years that they're in college. So coming over here and there's a little bit more liberty of how to be a professional and how to run your day, there's probably a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, because they don't have an office to go to. And I think that's another thing that hurts them a little bit is, they're used to being around a team. They're used to being, at a school, going to a building. They don't have that now. They have a lot of freedom. And it's hard for them to realize, I have all this freedom, but I got to get in the right habits every day. I got to check my sales reports. I've got to check, this report and that report to make sure, everything's going smoothly. We ask a lot of our reps. It's not your typical supplier rep gig, man. You're involved from beginning to end. Sometimes you got to help out customer service. You got to help out with art. You got to help out with ideation. You're hands-on, man. I wish we would get a cut, but we, from the distributor.
You're exactly right. I actually go back to when I started. My first job right out of school was with Apex Recruiting. So I was in staffing, $80 to $100 a day. But there was people just like me. You nailed it. We were looking for college athletes. it was all about the camaraderie within the office, right? Spreading
Yeah.
good vibes. But it was so funny because I always kind of think back to how I've seen your team interact versus how it was in my staffing days, which was, talking to your buddy at the water cooler about your
Yeah.
weekend or a sports game. My manager would just say, "Oh, Kevin, that's an awesome story. Why don't you guys tell that at 6 p.m., right? When you guys are off the clock?" Or be like, "Oh, cool." Like every time it was like, "Oh my God, that's so funny, Mullaney. What a good joke. I'll pick up the phone." Right. Like,
Yeah.
and there was a way that you used to hold people accountable. And I felt like that was a lot of the hit culture. Right. And then now, just going back to my experience, kind of leading some younger folks, I feel like we've got to be a little bit more, there's the Brene Brown, clear as kind, right? Unclear as unkind. So you've got to be direct with the feedback. Yet at the same time, there's still a lot of buildup. Hey, you did this great, this great, this great. Let's work on this. But you really did this great, right? Like, am I wrong on that? Or are you adjusting the way that you've coached a little bit more to maybe be a little softer in your being?
I'm definitely trying to be a little softer. That's for sure. I'm an intense guy. I like to, I work hard, I play hard.
Yeah.
And I kind of expect that as a minimum from my reps. And we talked about the 50-40-10. Like, you're better than 50% of your competition just by showing up and making an effort. Right. And then you're better by another 40% if you have some knowledge and you're educated yourself on what you're selling or doing. But to be elite, okay, that top 10%, you got to fail every once in a while. You have to do something wrong. You have to have messed up, because that's nobody's perfect. And we try to protect our kids. We've been this whole generation of, we want to protect our children and make sure they don't fail or fall down. But gosh darn it, they need to. They got to learn how to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and go at it again. Get knocked in the mouth. Hey, okay, this is for real. Time to go. Time to dig in. And that's where we're getting to, I think, right now. And I feel like my team has finally educated themselves enough. They've always been hard workers, but now they get it. They see the potential of what our company is and what it can be and what they can be within our company. Because we're an aging sales force, man, for sure. And there's plenty of room for them to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's the other thing, is patience. You got to have patience. We're not going to make you a director of sales in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. But there's going to be a lot of people retiring in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's really in the industry on both sides of the ball. So that's absolutely accurate. Hopefully these younger folks will develop the younger relationships with the next generation. Again, really kind of take the partnership to the next level down the line, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. And I see our sales team when we're together, they're tight, and they have their own little chat groups and text groups, and they help each other out. They don't always, come to me. They go to each other and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Which I think is great. And that makes me feel good. Know that I'm doing the right thing and we're teaching the right thing, that we are a team at the end of the day.
I love it. Now, let me ask you this, and we didn't prep you for this one, but it's an industry that's riddled with issues, concerns, problems, orders that go wrong, right? Whether it's on the distributor side, the supplier side. When that new rep has a situation and there was absolutely nothing that they could do, right? But you can't teach caring and you can't teach effort. They care and they're disappointed that it didn't go smoothly, right? Whether large or small. How are you coaching them on that type of situation? Was that where you kind of rely back on the old athletic background where, hey, sometimes you did everything you can, you played a perfect game and you still lost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you did your follow-up, you checked it, in shipping, and shipping didn't ship it next day air. They shipped it ground. So I mean, it's an imperfect system. And like you mentioned, everybody on the team has to do their part. And if one person doesn't, then it doesn't work. So you can play a perfect game, but maybe your teammate didn't. And yeah, you lost and it stinks. But the fact that they do care.
Yeah.
And sometimes I got to kind of walk them off the cliff a little bit. Like, hey, it's not the end of the world, man.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Okay. Is the customer upset? Yes. But is the sun going to rise tomorrow? Yes. Are they going to be okay tomorrow because their can cooler order didn't get there? Yes. They're fantastic. Yeah, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I always had one rep. I love her for it, Terry Harlan, that said, "Hey, just remember, like we're not this isn't heart surgery, right? Like we're not transferring organs. It's not a chopper that's going to the ceiling of a hospital. Again, we all take it seriously. It's important because it's important, right? People are trusting us.
Yes.
We want to show up well. But the reality of it is that is kind of the nice part about it. All right, awesome. So we are going to transition to kind of the last bit here. And just to FYI for anyone's freaking out that I'm drinking a beer at 10 a.m., this is the Tom Holland beer. Have you ever had one of these bureaus, these non-alcoholics?
No.
What a waste of time. It's done nothing for you. But long story short, we're going to do the Eric Carr Big E senior quote. So whether that's a sales quote, a life quote, a mantra, I want to know, like, if you were to leave the audience of 33 that's watching this eventually on the second Thursday of every month, what would you share with the group?
It was something that I read in my calendar day planner. You had quotes, and this was right after college. It was probably like 92, 93. And the quote was, "A truly great man makes all men feel great." And you can change that to men and women for today's audience and stuff. But I've always felt that that's kind of, I want to make sure that I treat everybody the way I want to be treated. Okay. And that's kind of my mantra is, when I'm around people, I want them to feel good. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to feel good about hanging out with me.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it, bud. I mean, I'm being honest. I think we sent Megan Paeka about 14 selfies that weekend that we hung out. Instant lifelong friends, man. And you made me feel that way. And again, I wasn't tied to your account, right? Like you weren't. You had no touch of me, my account, my company's account, but you made me feel like I was 10 feet tall or like I was playing in the Masters. That's how special our experience was. So I appreciate it. And I'm glad you do live life that way. I really appreciate your time. I hope you continue to excel, continue to grow. I hope some of your sales reps watch this because I know they know you care. But hopefully this kind of gives them a little bit of an extra level that you are this way with everybody. Last question for you. I think Widespread Panic is coming to Richmond in September. Any chance I get to see you there?
I think that is the Georgia-Alabama game in Athens. So I don't know. And I've seen Panic's playing in Indy this weekend. I've seen him twice this year already. I saw him in Nashville and in Charleston. So
awesome. Oh, Charleston! I heard that show was great. I actually had a client that was there.
The Saturday night show was top 5.
That's what he said. He's been over 500 shows. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, Saturday was unbelievable. Yeah.
All right, Biggie. Really appreciate you. We're going to close this out with the outro. Take care, man. Have a great one.
Thank you, buddy. All the best.
Absolutely.